Hello, I'm Dr. Mridula, CMD, Trinity Group of Eye Hospitals, Palakkad, Kerala. I'm here in front of you to discuss and share with you certain facts about the eye strain, the digital eye strain, which our children are going to face in the days to come. In this pandemic era, we know that digitalization has become a part and parcel of our child's education system, and we cannot restrain him from using these gadgets. So, how can we prevent or at least reduce the risk of developing eye problems because of this digital eye strain? The recent studies have shown that at least 1 out of every 6 children are developing vision problem. So, if this goes on, in another 25 to 30 years time, almost 50% of our population, the child population, will be having spectacle. And as parents, I don't think anybody would want this to happen. So how can we change this? Okay. Now, before going into the actual steps which we have to put into the child's system, I want you to realize what are the symptoms and what are the causes for this eye strain. So, most of the time the child may not complain to you about the problems because they may be very small. They might not even identify these problems. But if the child is smart enough, will come and tell you that I'm not able to see the distance or whatever it is. Now, but there are certain symptoms which we can identify and understand that these are the after effects of the eye strain, the digital strain. So, number one is increased tiredness, fatigability. The child becomes exhausted very fast, and lack of concentration. Even if you make them sit and study, after some time they get distracted, lack of concentration is there. Frequent rubbing of eyes, watering from the eyes, inability to look at the light, that is called photophobia, and they might have a lack of sleep, neck strain, neck pain, shoulder pain, and itching. As I also mentioned, that there might be a frequent rubbing of the eyes. So all these are the symptoms which shows that there is a digital eye strain for the child. Now, what are the causes for this eye strain? Number one, the children, you have seen that the children are mostly doing close work. Like when they are using these gadgets, their distance is close, So what happens is the muscles which are responsible for the close work are activated. As this goes on, the child develops myopia or nearsightedness. Sometimes, number two, some children might have a plus power in their eye, which we call it a hyperopia. They can see things clearly only if they are wearing that corrective glasses. So if they are not wearing those glasses, they slowly develop eye strain and eye pain when they're doing close work. Number three, most of the children are using mobile phone for their studying. So these are smaller display which are not meant to be used for longer hours. So as a result of which the eye strain develop. Number four, see, most of the parents are, both the husband and wife are working. So when the mother comes home, she has a lot of household chores to do. So she doesn't want her child to distract her from all those things. What happily she does is give off the mobile phone to the child, ask them to play, use some games or something, play some games so that she can do her household activities. But as this goes on, the child slowly gets addicted to the mobile phone. And then when the child develops some eye problem, and now you realize that the child need to be stopped of using all these things, When you stop giving them the mobile phone, they become agitated, and I have a mother who came to my consultation room and said, the child, what if the mother doesn't give the mobile phone, he literally bangs his head onto the wall. So she's so scared that he might injure his head, so she gives out the phone. So these are the kind of violence that children show when they are withdrawn from these gadgets, and we are partly responsible for it. Now, number 5 is that the blue light that is emitted from these gadgets are dangerous. There is a hormone in the eye, that is in the nerve layer of the eye, the retina, called the melatonin. These hormone helps in removing the bad particles from the eye. It's called an antioxidant activity. So these free radicals are removed by this melatonin. This blue light, what it causes, like if you use it for a longer hours, this causes reduction in this melatonin hormone, as a result of which the retina will slowly get damaged. Okay. Next, sixth thing is that the strain. You must have noticed anybody, not only the child, anybody who's using mobile phone for a longer hours, you tend to bend your head and use these gadgets. So there is a lot of strain on the neck muscles and the cervical spine. And when it is retained in that position for a longer time, the damage starts developing here, and there will be a lot of neck pain, and which may be radiated towards your shoulder. So neck pain and shoulder pain can happen. Another important thing, which is the last cause for the problem, these children, they don't do any physical activity. They're all the time with these mobile phones, iPads. And so what happens is their skeletal muscles are not getting any physical activity, as a result of which their growth is also affected. Invariably, most of the children, you must have noticed at home, they sit up with a packet of chips or some junk food. When they're using this mobile phone, they continuously munch and then use these gadgets. So they tend to eat a lot of junk food, resulting in the excess weight gain and obesity. So these are the general facts about the digital strain. And now I'm going to tell you the 10 tips which can reduce this digital strain. Okay. Tip number 1, position of the monitor. The table where the monitor is placed should be elbow height, and it should be about 1 to 1.5 feet away. The monitor should be 1 to 1.5 feet away from the child. You should avoid smaller screens like mobile phones. It's better to have a larger screen. Screen level should be 4 to 5 inches below the eye level. See, if you see me, my eye level and the screen level is the same. So my eyes are wide open. What happens is because of the eyes are wide open, it tends to become very dried up. But at the same time, if the screen level is slightly on the lower area, the eyelids will act like a sunshade or a hood and protects the eye from getting dried up very fast. So that retains the moisture in the eye. So that is the reason the screen should be at least 4 to 5 4 to 5 inches below the eye level. Your back should be upright. You should sit in an upright position. So that is regarding the position. That is the tip number 1. Tip number 2 is frequent blinking of eyes. That is, the normal blink rate is 10 to 15 per minute. That is, every 5 seconds you should blink once. Understood? So why do we say that we should blink so frequently? Each time when you blink, Imagine like a shutter mechanism. The eyelid comes down and then opens. When it opens, there's a thin layer of water or the tears underneath, which it lifts up onto the black of the eye. So there is a wetting. Every time you blink, there is a fresh wetting of the eyes. So that is very important to avoid drying of the eyes. Every time this wetting happens, the eye becomes more cooler. So that is very important. American Optometric Association has come out with a recommendation stating that 20-20-20 rule. So what is this 20-20-20 rule? Every 20 minutes, you take your eyes off the screen, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. So every 20 minutes, take your eyes off the screen for 20 feet away for 20 seconds. So that is the 20-20-20 rule. This reduces the eye strain. So that is number 2. Number 3 is you have to take a break. That is, every 1 hour of this digital use, make the child get up from the chair, walk around for some time within the room, and then come back and sit. So that gives some physical activity for the child. So that is number 3. Number 4 is the lighting of the room. That is, the general lighting of the room should be adequate. You should not make the child use these gadgets in a dim lit room. At least the lighting should be at least half of the screen light. So that's very important. Number 5 is at least 2 hours prior to sleeping, you should stop using these digital screen. So 2 hours prior to sleep, the child should stop using all these digital gadgets, and that's very, very important. Now we have covered the general things. Number 6 is what are the healthy food habits you can bring into the child's diet. Make your child eat food that is rich in keratin, like carrot, spinach, sweet potato, and pumpkin. Dry fruits like dates, almonds, pista, and egg, including the egg yolk. At least 1 egg every day. So that's very important. After covering up the food, proper food, next thing that is the 7th thing that is tip that is very important is a physical activity. The child should have some physical activity. Physical exercises are very important because that increases the immunity of the child. Number 8 is adequate sleep. The child should have at least 7 to 8 hours of proper sleeping every day. That's very important. When the sleep is proper, the immunity is increased, the child mental health is also better. So that is very important. Number 9 is use of blue light filters. You have seen a lot of blue light filters in all these gadgets. That is very important because there is something called a circadian rhythm in our body. That is, our body functions at a particular rhythm. So these blue light causes alterations in this circadian rhythm, and that produces a lot of stress. So blue light filters can be used. Number 10, last but not the least, is that regular eye checkup. That's very, very, very important. The child may not complain of a vision problem, and sometimes some children have only problem in one eye. So the other eye will compensate for the vision problem. So the child will never complain of this vision problem. Only when you individually check one eye at a time, only you realize that one eye vision is having problem. And that also you should identify at a correct time, because if we don't identify the correct time, your vision will start dropping. And then when at particular stage, when we try to correct it with the glasses also, it might not get rectified fully. So that's very important. You should have a yearly checkup, and if there is any vision problem, the doctor will advise you whether the child need to be brought every 8 months or 6 months or every year. So as per the advice, you should follow. Next thing is that if at all the child is having some vision problem and you're giving a glasses, you can incorporate anti-reflective coating for the glasses, so that the harmful rays are also to some extent stopped from entering the eye. So these are the 10 tips you should follow for bringing a better vision from the child and reduce the eye strain. Now, as parent, let's together bring in all these things, reduce the eye strain, and bring up a better, healthy future generation. Thank you.